A movie about AI. Written by AI?
Well, that was a movie.
Hello, welcome back to SimonsRants. I'm Simon, and today I'm giving my first thoughts on The Creator, the new film by the same director as Rogue One. He's also known for the 2014 Godzilla film, but I've never seen that personally. I've seen Rogue One, thought it was fine. I thought it was like good, but not really memorable other than that one Darth Vader scene. Overall, I thought it was okay, but I had no real desire to see anything else by that director. That movie didn't make me want to go and see anything else that he'd done. But I saw the poster first for this movie, and then quickly after that, the trailer. Hadn't really heard anything about it up until a couple weeks ago, but I was like, this looks interesting. I love a good sci-fi. We don't really get many genuine sci-fis anymore. Usually it's sci-fi horror or sci-fi whatever. Something like Star Wars isn't really sci-fi, it's more space fantasy. So it's like, other than like Arrival or I guess maybe kind of Dune, which is still fantasy-ish, we haven't really had genuine good sci-fi. So I was excited for a new sci-fi. Also, I thought the visuals of it looked really interesting, so I was like, alright, I'm all in. And after having seen it, yeah, the visuals are stunning. They're the best thing about the movie. The CGI is fantastic. They did mention in an interview I saw that they actually didn't tell most of, if any of the actors, which ones were humans and which ones were the AI, and they just added the AI machinery, like the robotic machinery, in post, so they didn't have any dots on them, they didn't have like any green suit or anything, and it was amazing. Like, it looked good. It looked really good. There was probably a couple things with the spaceships that looked a little, you know, a little blurry. Like, it's like, well, that's not real, that's CGI. But for the most part, I thought the visuals were stunning. I thought they were fantastic, like up there with something like Avatar almost, where it's like, okay, I'm not a huge fan of CGI. I like practical effects whenever possible, but when it's that good, you have to be like, all right, fine, you won me over. That was really well done. It just goes to show what happens when you're not rushing out these movies and actually take the time and dedication to allow the visual artists to do what they're capable of. So the CGI in this movie, fantastic. Everything else, I had that little quip at the beginning saying it was like written by AI, which isn't true. The point is, it feels like a hodgepodge of a bunch of other stuff. Like, it felt like this guy was a huge fan of Nolan, but also really likes Blade Runner and also likes Avatar. Like, this movie really reminded me of Avatar with like the way characters interacted with each other. A lot of the visuals were Blade Runner inspired, and then like the cinematography and ambiance of the movie was like trying to be Nolan-esque. So that's a lot of really good things to be compared to. Unfortunately, it was the lesser version of all of those things. It was not nearly as good as a Nolan movie. The visuals, although interesting at times, were kind of lackluster and repetitive and kind of boring after a while, so not like Blade Runner. And Avatar isn't a great thing anyway, so being compared to it, especially as far as dialogue and character development goes, is not a good thing. So yeah, the characters in this movie are horribly underwritten. You never really feel like you get to know anybody at all. There's certain characters, certain actors that were horribly miscast. There's this general lady who, I don't know, the best way I feel like I can describe it is like if Ellen was in the military. Like, I just don't buy it. Like, you're not a general. Like, there's no way you made it through boot camp. There's no way people would put you in power. You just don't have that, like, you just don't have that vibe. And so, I don't know. I just had a hard time also getting through a lot of the dialogue. A lot of the dialogue was really crappy. And I don't know, when it was said and done, I don't think it was a bad movie. I just didn't think it was a good movie either. Kind of like Rogue One, where I'm like, I enjoyed aspects of it, minus there's no Darth Vader action scene, which is kind of disappointing. But like, it was fine. There was some good action moments, some good set pieces, some really interesting sci-fi moments. I was actually like woken up because I was like kind of honestly, I'm like a little bored. This movie kind of dragged, and I was like, there's this one cool visual thing, and I know I just said one because that's pretty much all it is. But like, there's this one moment where there's this piece of sci-fi sci-fi equipment that they'd come up with. And I mean, I've seen similar things in other sci-fi movies, but the way they applied it, I was like, that's cool. That woke me up for a second. So there are a couple of moments in there that I'm like, that was cool, that was original. But beyond that, it's not original. And I mean, there's some vague, like, philosophical ponderings in here. There's obvious references to, like, messianic, like, prophecies and stuff, like there will be a savior, there will be someone that will, you know, save the AI, and you're like, is it the child, is it the main character, who are we talking about? And then the child has written on their, like, nameplate or whatever, Alpha Omega, so it's like, okay, that's Jesus, all right, I get what you're doing here. It's just vague, and like, if they wanted to really come up with something profound and impactful, it had to be developed more, and it had to be more original. Like I said, everything's been done before. Everything that they do in this movie has been done before, and has been done better. Overall, I can't say it was a bad movie. If you really pressed me to give it a rating, I'd probably say a 6. If I was in a worse mood, maybe I'd say a 5. But it's not like, oh my god, that was bad, I never want to see that again. It was fine. It really wasn't a bad movie. It's just, it was a pale shadow of a million better movies. Like I said, the cinematography really kept reminding me of Nolan movies. Like, there was several shots that I was like, okay, that looks like Inception, that looks like Dunkirk, that looks like Interstellar, that even kind of looked like Tenet a little bit. Maybe it's just the fact that it's John David Washington that I'm thinking that, but like, that looked similar. And like I said, visually, it is stunning at times, but there's just not enough substance there. It was just kind of flat to me. And there's a couple of times when you start to think, oh, this is gonna get going, and then you're just kind of left shrugging your shoulders like, what was that? I don't know. I don't think any of the acting was particularly bad. Like I said, there was some miscasting in there, but I don't really blame them. They just were miscast. So the acting wasn't really bad, but none of the acting was good either. The directing, I don't know, didn't feel like anything in particular. Like, I feel like maybe they're still a young director. Like I said, I only know of 2 other movies that they've directed. I don't know how long they have been directing, but sometimes it just takes a director a while to find their voice, find their style. Yeah, okay, so this is their 4th credit. They've done 3 other movies. So like, sometimes I don't want to preemptively say this director's a bad director. Sometimes it just takes a while to find your own voice and stop copycatting everybody else. And I know filmmaking is a copycat man's game, if that makes sense. Tarantino, every movie he's copying something, taking inspiration from something. In my own movie, I made sure to try to copy as many things as I love as possible, to just pay homage and write a love letter to these other movies and other directors, and I get that, but at a certain point, you can't just be stealing, you have to be reinterpreting. There's a difference. And so I don't know if this director just hasn't learned that yet, or if he just doesn't have his own voice. He started in visual effects first. I think that's what he's been doing longer, and then more recently switched into directing. So maybe he's just talented visually, but doesn't have an artistic voice of his own. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like, you're just talented in this area, that's what you should keep doing. Kind of like, I forget his name, but the guy who directs the John Wick movies, he's a stunt guy. He's all about stunts, and he's amazing at that. That's his thing. You ask him to direct a movie, and he's gonna give you John Wick, which is fine. An amazing stunt coordinator does not equal an amazing director. He can be a fine director, but it's like, if that's your area of expertise, maybe just stay there. And so for me, watching this, I'm like, man, this visually stunning, overall kind of empty, kind of flat. So maybe that's not your thing. Maybe your thing is the visuals, and you can lend yourself to great works of art. Like, if you had him working on, the next Star Wars movie, you can actually make it look good if they give you enough time and money. Or maybe working on a Marvel movie, and you could help them out make something actually look good. But anyway, regardless, be a piece in a larger project. You don't have to be the director. I know directors get all the credit other than, actors. People just know directors. But it's like, there are so many amazingly talented people in film that aren't directors that make films amazing without, touching the camera, without, yelling at anybody, directing anybody. So, I don't know. I don't want to tell him like, hey, you're in the wrong profession, but he's very clearly very talented at one thing. I don't know if directing is his thing. I could be proven wrong. Like I said, Rogue One wasn't a bad movie. Kind of forgettable, and so was this. This isn't really a bad movie either, but they're both just kind of forgettable. So, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if some people found it really fascinating, a really interesting movie. I just couldn't really buy into it. Even like from the first scene on, it was like an interesting concept. They're talking about how like the AI war began, and the delivery of it's like this political speech or whatever. Like this general gets up and he's like addressing the public, and it was written so badly and delivered so poorly that I was just like, and I'm immediately out. 5 seconds in, and I already just can't take it seriously, and. I don't know. There's just a lot of things in there that took me out, by the way. This is getting into like actually making fun of it a little bit, and it doesn't really deserve too much of this, but there was a couple moments that I do want to point out because they were funny. It's like and this is a spoiler, but like there's this, they're dropping these bombs. They're the guided missiles. So there's a computer guiding them, and that computer gets turned off. So the missiles end up falling harmlessly to the ground. I'm going to repeat that again. They fall harmlessly to the ground. The missiles fall to they're going to explode. They're missiles. They're rockets. I don't care if the computer got turned off or not. You get a rocket, explosions happen. Like, I don't care if you turn off the computer. That was so dumb. There's also the stuff that just didn't make sense with characters' motivations. They do things that then later set up other things, but why they did in the moment didn't make any sense. I don't know. Really predictable dialogue, predictable outcomes to things. I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into spoilers or anything, because I think some people may still enjoy this. Not that it's a really complex movie that spoilers matter that much, but I don't know. If sci-fi is your thing and you just want to have like fun, you don't really care about anything new, anything that's gonna, remake the wheel or anything, then it could be enjoyable. I don't think you'll be thinking about it, T-minus 1 hour after you see it. Not to steal from Jeremy Johns, but it's true. It's like, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever think about this movie again after I'm done editing this and posting this. So, I don't know. That's what I think. I thought it was fine, but whatever, don't really care about it. What do you guys think, though? Let me know in the comments below if you've seen it, what you thought. Also, thank you for liking, sharing, and commenting. Bye.